You're listening to Spotlight on Business on Newstalk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. Once again, here's your host, Laura Smith.
Welcome back to the Style File for the month of August. I'm Laura Smith, one of my favorite times of the month to be able to talk not only all things style, but what's going on in Washington, D.C. in terms of retail. And I mean, it's a fascinating side of the business that Danny Reynolds brings to the table here. Really, I mean, who'd have thunk it?
Yes, I got myself all wound up in the first segment. So now let's do the softer side of the Style File.
Can we actually talk style?
Please.
All
please.
right. Well,
some days I forget what it is I'm supposed to be doing for a living.
Well, but you know what? Like anything in life, it's never just one faceted. You guys are in retail, obviously, but it goes so much deeper than that. And it's a reflection of what's going on in the world in so many ways. Gray, this is your internship beginning now for your entire school year. You have this. Are you a senior?
Yep, one more year.
What? Okay, so a senior at Elkhart Christian Community or what?
Elkhart Christian Academy.
Academy. Thank you. Yes, and I've heard amazing things about that school. And if you're any indication of it, and your sister, who works at Stephensons also, then yes, it must be an incredible place.
We had the realization recently that we have been supporting that institution for now 22 straight years because Lily started there in pre-K and Gray's older brother Jude went all the way through, and now Gray has too. So great place, and they've done a nice job keeping my knuckleheads in line.
Oh yeah, it's far from knuckleheads. They're all really incredible young people. Gives me hope for the world as I get older every year. All right, so now let's talk. You guys just got back from Chicago, the trade show for men, the biggest in the country. That sounds exciting to me. I would love to be a fly on the wall there and just watch how that happens.
It's a neat event, and I'll let Gray talk a little bit about what we saw, what he liked with his fresh young eyes. But it's at the Apparel Center Merchandise Mart in Chicago. So for a better part of a week, they take over that entire facility. It's like 3 huge floors of nothing but men's style from all over the world. There's an entire Italian wing, all different price ranges, all the favorites that many of your listeners have grown to love from Stephenson's 1931. Like we saw Johnny O, we saw Paisley and Gray, we saw Liverpool jeans, and a number of new lines that are on the horizon for us now that Gray kind of helped me select and pick out. So,
does Johnny really carry a surfboard? I mean,
he does. And he is a Chicago native.
Is he really? Is there really a Johnny O?
There is a Johnny O. So, fun fact: Johnny O is John O'Donnell.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of the actor Chris O'Donnell?
Yeah.
That is Johnny O's brother.
Really?
Yeah. So those parents did something right with those two. So there is a real Johnny O. He's from Chicago, moved out west to L.A., and then spent some time in New York. And what he wanted the vibe of that company to be was sort of an East Coast meets West Coast laid-back vibe. And I think he's done a pretty good job of it and built it into a really nice business. And to this day, our number one seller
is
in
Johnny
1931. Yeah.
Yes. And it really, and I mean, I go down there sometimes, even though I have nobody to buy for, but I just like to look at what's in it. It's fascinating to me because the clothes are so beautiful. I think about when I grew up, it was all flannel shirts and painter's pants. If anybody even knows what that is anymore, or Levi jeans.
Actually, I think that stuff's cool again, Laura.
Yeah.
I hope you saved it.
Levi, I did actually. I found it during the move this week. But that is something. So tell us, Gray, what were you impressed with? What caught your eye? And what did you tell your dad? We are bringing that back to the store.
Well, what was probably the most interesting to me, I had never been to one of these. I had heard about them all growing up, the New York one and then the Chicago one eventually when Stephenson started doing more men's clothes. But like, as soon as you walk in, there's just so many people. And like he was talking about, like, there's an entire, like, I don't know if you'd call it aisle, but there's like hundreds of booths that are just like Italian leather, Italian made items. And they're like all like talking in language I can't understand. And I was just amazed by like the
sheer magnitude of it.
Like I had no idea it was this big of a thing. And then
so it's international as well, even though this is for the American market.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But stores from all over the world are there.
Are part of it. Yeah.
And then I was just like, amazed at how they do all of this, because they're like, all of the vendors that we went to were talking about how they're going from this, and then a week later they're in Vegas, a week later they're in Texas. It's like all over, and they're setting up these massive like exhibits almost. Like Tommy Bahama has like 20 cabana chairs set up on like this that makes you feel like you're actually like at the beach or something. It's insane.
Yeah.
And they have like racks and racks of clothes, and it just kind of stresses me out thinking about how they move all of that stuff. And you're probably wondering about that too with your move, but it was just so surprising to me. I didn't know what to expect, and that definitely wasn't it. But that just mixed with how much differently what they do is compared to what we do. Like, I don't know what I was really expecting, but like they're all based around this brand. They're trying to sell this brand, and like they'll go all over the world trying to just like sell it to vendors like Stephensons. And there's so many people with their lanyards on talking about their specific stores, or just like us, just all over the country. And it's just really interesting to me.
That is so cool. I can only imagine. And I'm trying to think of some of the designers maybe from around the world that would be there that we'd be familiar with. But
I think I might have mentioned the Chicago Collective has now become the largest in the country, one of the largest in the world. So as I said, it's quite international. There are buyers from all over the world, and buyers from the biggest fashion institutions in our country, from Neiman's, Bergdorf, Nordstrom, you name it. They all come there to sort of get the landscape of the fashion world. So it's just a really cool place to kind of take the temperature of what's going on in retail. Obviously, it's fun to talk to other retailers and kind of see what they're going through, and maybe compare notes, talk about lines and collections that are good and not so good, and maybe get some inspiration from them. But really just to get an overall view of what's going on in the world of men's fashion and style. And now is a great time to be involved in that, because going back even just 15, 20 years ago, men's fashion, those two words almost didn't really go together that often. Men's style has been a very kind of staid, traditional thing. I mean, imagine the men's stores that we all knew about as young people. Nothing wrong with them, but they all had that same look, that same feel. They sold suits, they sold sport coats.
Brooks Brothers in New York. That's
Yes, exactly. And there were a lot of many small ones like that around the country. Well, now men have really sort of adapted to this world of style and realized that they can get creative, step outside the box, do things a little bit differently. So all of that was really why it was kind of the perfect time for us to finally take that step into the men's world about 7 years or so ago, because it allows us to operate sort of similarly to how we do on the women's side, which is really changing the floor, so to speak, every 30, 45, 60 days, rotating the styles that you see in a seasonal and also trend-right way.
People are still discovering, I think, that 1931, your men's department exists in Stephensons. I talked to some people that are like, I didn't know they had a men's department. I'm like, well, you need to go there. Or I hear the opposite. Oh, yeah, that is the only place my husband will go anymore to find clothing, because it's just beautiful and it's like the best fabrics, and they want cutting edge, and people in Elkhart, Indiana are just as savvy. They want their husbands, or the husbands themselves, they want to be up on what's happening and trending.
And a lot of times, Laura, it starts with a woman who's already in the store, who maybe shops for her husband. She picks him something out. He tries it on. He's like, wow, I never knew things could fit or feel so good. So then we kind of joke that we create the monster. He comes in looking for more. And that's how we've sort of built this men's customer base. And it's really kind of taken off. And you didn't hear this here because it's not officially on the record yet, but we are getting ready to expand the 1931 department greatly, and there'll be more to come, literally and figuratively.
Are you serious?
Yes.
I'm trying to picture it. Where would it go?
I just heard myself announce this on the air, so now we have to do it. Right?
You couldn't possibly go into the prom dress department area,
Has
would
Lily
you?
been talking to you?
I don't know. I'm just trying to visualize
we
it.
We have a plan.
That is exciting.
That's coming, and it's coming before the end of this year. So
I think it's absolutely. And again, being from New York, like I am. I never thought that I would be able to come and go shopping in downtown Elkhart, Indiana, and find places that remind me of that. And, for people who think that Elkhart, well, we don't worry about dressing like that in Indiana. That's not true at all. That is not true at all. I am seeing such a difference in the way men dress, the women dress, everything. I don't know half the time that I'm in the Midwest. It feels to me very metropolitan. People are very savvy.
Well, and things have changed. This is probably could be an entire episode one of these days about, the speed of the times. We used to joke, say 20 years ago, that if a trend took hold on one of the coasts, then we'd see it around here in about 7 years. That was just always the joke, because that was how things moved. Well, in the digital age, especially if you look at Gray's generation, I mean, if they have a genre of music or whatever it is culturally that they're interested in, they are being fed images of this regularly on a daily basis. Gray's favorite singers, whoever it might be, well, he's a classic rock guy, so he loves Dylan and stuff like that, but he likes new ones, Mumford & Sons, some of this kind of stuff. It used to be, back in our day, somebody would put out an album, you'd see maybe whatever they were wearing on the album cover, and then if you were lucky enough that they came to the Morris Civic or whatever it was, you see them in concert, and that was how you got that style. Now it's
instant.
All the time, anytime, instant. So all that to say that trends move a lot quicker than they used to, and we are adapting to them a lot quicker than we used to. That, you remember, just like I do, the culture shock of what used to be going to New York and think, wow, look at this stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe someday where we live, well, now it's all just sort of merged.
It's all happening at the same time. And Gray is, I wish we had a camera in here, but he is a perfect example. And but the trends are beautiful for men.
One of the major trends in men's fashion right now is the sweater polo, and that's exactly what Gray's wearing today.
The sweater polo.
So polo style shirt in a sweater knit.
And that's to the fabrics also. Who knew? You guys know. The Reynolds family knows because, well, they've been doing it, they themselves, since 1964 with your mom, Marge, who I adore. I love going in there. She has just truly, she is an icon and an institution here in Elkhart, Indiana. But the fact that you and your incredible family, Gray and Lily, are, in the business now, to, so to speak, very grateful, because you guys are where it's at in Elkhart, Indiana, on Main Street, and you can always count on you when you go in there. You will be led to just the perfect item to wear. They are masters at that. They don't overwhelm you and follow you around, but when you need help, they know exactly where to go and to what to bring you to try on, and it's a great experience. Thank you for all you do for our community,
thanks for having us. Always fun, and we'll do it again next month.
The first family of Elkhart, Indiana, the Reynolds family. I'm Laura Smith. This was The Style File. We'll see you next month.
If you missed any part of today's show, log on to 953mnc.com and look for the Spotlight on Business podcast. Be sure to tune in again next Sunday afternoon at 4:30 for Spotlight on Business on News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel, your breaking news and weather station.
Podcasts by Federated Media.